What up, what up? Just getting everything set up here. We are back after quite a break from the live streams. Got a little rusty at setting these things up though. I feel like I had it like down for a bit. Now I'm like stumbling around trying to get everything checked off. He gets. Yep, there we go. Volume, volume, volume. That's what I was just saying. I got rusty at setting this thing up. And I think we're there. Yep. Nope. Everything looks good there. Now I just got to pull up that chat and we'll be good to go. Rusty on starting up these live streams. I guess that's what happens when I take a week off. Get out of the normal flow, but we are. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. Turn the volume up. All right. I think I fixed the volume thing, so we should be good there. What else do we got? Moon live stream. Not yet. Hopefully soon. Got a little bit of just a boring sort of range on the price right now. I mean, just nothing has really changed too much from where we've been watching. Just continuing to ping pong back between these levels, and until something changes there, it's not much interesting happening on the price. This is kind of for all of cryptocurrency right now. I would say, even though there's not much interesting happening on the price, it's at least good that that's the case and the price isn't tanking, because the stock market has been getting hit pretty hard recently. And I'm not sure enough people are really like understanding how nice it is that XRP specifically is really holding up against the stock market. It's not something that has traditionally ever really happened before. And even though XRP is down from that $3 mark, I mean, it's still holding some of these support regions really well. When does the market explode? I think we need to get through a lot of the tariff drama that's happening right now. It's kind of you never really know what's gonna take the market's headlines and make it so the market is all worked up over something. And I never in a million years did I think it'd be tariffs, but I'm not convinced tariffs mean really much of anything for actual impact on the economy. I think long run is actually going to be kind of bullish. So, I just think a lot of people are worked up into this frenzy of focusing on tariffs, and I don't think it's going to matter much over the long run. When do we find out what today is? In terms of Liberation Day, when do we find out what that means? Do we have any idea? Is there like any time for the announcement, or are we just gonna make noon, 2 p.m., 4 p.m.? All right, I've gotten every day 4 p.m. Okay, I'm seeing 4 p.m. roll in. Oh, probably depending on where you are in the 4 East. Okay. Okay, let's go. God, they're gonna make us wait all day. How are we supposed to start celebrating Liberation Day if we have to wait until 4? We only get a half day today? Come on, we need like an 8 a.m. announcement. To get a half day on Liberation Day? Messed up. All right, well, I guess we'll wait till 4 to figure out what day we're celebrating. I mean, gonna go through half the day, and I didn't even know what day it is. I have no idea what this is gonna mean. A lot of people are saying it's gonna be bullish for crypto. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if it is. Um, it doesn't sound like to me like it's as much of a if it's cryptocurrency related, and also like I just have no idea how the market's gonna react at this point. I mean, it's just a total crapshoot. I'm excited for whatever, but I just no idea what this will end up being. Guys, make sure if you're getting here early, you go down, smash the like button. Really appreciate everyone doing that. Took a little bit of a break from the live stream to go get some traveling done, but we're back and as consistent as ever. See what else we got going on. No, this is a good chart Defin just gave me. And this is a Bitcoin price chart, but oh no, this is altcoin market cap. Okay, interesting. Yo, RPM, good to see you, man. If he throws in XRP as tax free or something like that, that'd be that'd be bullish. Liberation Day. I mean, I mean, now I'm thinking about it. It could be something to do with taxes. I don't know about cryptocurrency taxes per se. Um, as much as I would like that, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical that you just get rid of cryptocurrency taxes. Before anything else, but it's still cryptocurrency or just taxes in general. That sounds like it aligns pretty close with Liberation Day, but they're not making enough on tariffs, in my opinion, right now to just get rid of taxes. So I don't know. Are we going to be leaving like NATO or something like that? Cheers, Chadwick. Good to see you. Uh, Yeah, I don't really see too many guesses in the chat for what today is gonna be. Um, really curious what people think. I mean, it seems like everyone has no idea. All the tariffs to be paid in XRP. I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen, but liberating from the Federal Reserve. Oh, good fire dog. It gets me up and running in the morning too sometimes. Um, I don't think it's liberation from the Federal Reserve. You know, if if Trump came out and he was doing liberation from the Federal Reserve, the markets would get destroyed. Destroyed. Um it's that liberation from the Federal Reserve. I think that's probably something that's going to require a little bit more time. That'd be a pretty big change in the entire monetary structure of the United States. And even if you liberated from the Federal Reserve, here's what a lot of people don't really understand. Like, you can't just get rid of the Federal Reserve without like destroying the entire system. They're kind of like a critical piece of money creation. So if you just say like get rid of the Federal Reserve, well, that's fine. But like, are you gonna replace the Federal Reserve with a new institution, or are you just gonna just break the financial system and not fix it? So um I agree that people might not like the Federal Reserve. That's fine. But really, the United States Treasury issues debt, and then the Federal Reserve just buys that debt. Like that's what the Federal Reserve really does. They just buy debt. Um, and you know, if you don't have anyone buying the debt that the Treasury is issuing, then you're kind of putting yourself in a situation where, it's the system just doesn't really work how it's supposed to. Let's see if I can find a good video on that. Sure, I can. Um, I want to find a video that I think accurately break it down. Hmm. This is a nice quick one. See if this is good. See what else we got in the chat. Please remember, no matter what happens today, crypto's long term must go through the pain for the gain. Rondell, that's great. That's absolutely true. Yeah, this video is terrible. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find a good video right now unless I can find something on X. Well, maybe I'll make a video on this. I've seen some really good videos on just kind of infographics breaking it down, but doesn't look like there's anything too good. Can you tell David, please, to flip the switch already? We'll flip it eventually. Well, I guess I'll just give my definition of what happened. So, the way it works is the United States Treasury issues debt, right? So the United States Treasury issues debt that the Federal Reserve then purchases that debt. And then when the Federal Reserve purchases that debt, they're essentially creating money because then they have something on their balance sheet. When they purchase that debt, they can then take all the funds that they use to purchase that debt and start handing that debt or handing those notes down to Treasury banks. So the Treasury issues the debt, the Federal Reserve purchases that debt in the form of notes, and then those notes can be handed down to the banks to capitalize the banking system. And that's the biggest thing, and why people say, like, when people say get rid of the Federal Reserve, it's like it's just a critical piece in how that flow works. And if you just get rid of the Federal Reserve, well, then you just have a hole in the entire system. And then if you want to talk about what the new system would be, you're talking about directly issuing money, and then that's like gets into a whole nother rabbit hole of whether or not you would want you would re-architect the entire financial system. I kind of did a video on it last night, though. Been hearing a lot of good things coming out from India. Yeah, I have heard people talking about India a lot recently as well. I haven't seen anything too concrete, but um, I have heard kind of a lot of people pinging me on India. I'm scrolling through X right now. There just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of XRP news specifically coming on. Let's take a look at CNBC real quick, see if they're talking about anything interesting.
Back that 36 trillion a little bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, Joe, it's definitely a sea change. Look, ever since Bob Rubin was Secretary of Treasury, it's always been the mantra, a strong dollar is in the best interest of the U.S. And that's carried on through many, many administrations until now. If you read between the lines and some of the policy papers that, for instance, the Scott Bessent, Stephen Mirren written, between the lines, they would like a weaker dollar. To me, as a currency guy, I always say, be careful what you wish for, because, as you know, the market sentiment swings. If you get once you let the genie out of the bottle, it's hard to get it back in. So I think that's one thing that Rubin and his successors recognize, that it really is in the best interest of the U.S. in terms of attracting foreign investment, et cetera, et cetera. So it's to be determined, but that's.
All right. Well, this guy's boring me already. Looks like CNBC doesn't have any good information either, which is fine. They'll look at anyone on CNBC. Just start talking about nonsense. Tesla deliveries today. Okay, well, that's something to look forward to at least. We got Liberation Day at 4. Tesla deliveries. Oh man, can't say I'm too optimistic on that number, but maybe it will surprise. Let's take a look at some charts. See what things look like on the chart side of the world. Take a look at XRP BTC real quick. Get an update there. Looks like we're trying to maintain support here. Falling out of this a little bit. Now, there's no exact science here on where these lines line up, so it's very easy for me to say, okay, maybe this line was a little bit more like this, and this one was a little bit more like this. But just watching this channel right now, because we are in a little bit of a danger zone of falling out of this channel. Now, this channel is just against Bitcoin, so XRP could still be going up. But we've kind of maintained this upward trend against Bitcoin, and it looks like that's in a little bit of jeopardy as we speak right now, but could easily have a rebound pretty quickly. To take a look at Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin's having a pretty decent recovery right now, which is honestly very good to see. Looks like Bitcoin really kind of bounced off this low, and now we might be creating a little bit of a consolidation pattern here. Squeezing the chart, and then we'll see what ends up happening here. I mean, typically these things play out where it'll move up in here, and you'll get that next big downside move or that next big upside move. Just depends on where the market's going to be hanging out at that time. One of the ones, pretty much everything else in the market, I mean, has been pretty negative in comparison to XRP. I mean, even looking at XLM, XLM has really slipped below some of those levels that XRP has been hanging out above. So XLM kind of, where XRP traded much more up here, XLM kind of fell below this range and been a little bit more descending. So, and then let's see, QQQ. The big reason why I think most of this is happening is probably the sell-off in the NASDAQ. That looks like it's opening relatively negative, but this is what we really need to bottom out. If we can get the NASDAQ kind of do one big last dip lower and then do that V-shaped recovery, that's sort of what we're really waiting for before we can put a lot of this current sell-off behind us. But it just doesn't seem like this is kind of really bottomed yet, and there's no doubt in my mind that this is what's really driving the cryptocurrency market. The stock market's getting hit by the tariff news, and people worried about a recession because of the tariffs. And until the market can see that these things are not a worry, then the market's going to continue to worry about them, unfortunately. So just currently what the market decides the market wants to be panicked about. And unfortunately, even though cryptocurrency has nothing to do with it, we got to deal with it. Well, we'll see what Liberation Day is. If Liberation Day, Trump says, okay, we're getting rid of all the tariffs, I think you'll see a massive pump, but I don't think that's what Liberation Day will be. I'm curious. I wonder what Grok thinks Liberation Day will be. Plug it into Grok real quick. I'm curious what Grok's going to say Liberation Day is. ChatGPT actually does think it's going to be tariff focused. So Grok thinks it will be tariff focused. That's interesting. Let's if it's tariff focused, it can very easily be a negative catalyst for the market if it's not framed right. The market is already very sensitive to a lot of this tariff news. So if this comes out and the market says, oh, this is more tariffs, I don't think the market's going to like it at all. Crypto Clay, I think you've probably nailed it. I think that's probably a very accurate depiction of what we'll probably see. And how I'm just curious what the actual changes are going to be, right? Are there going to be changes? Is it going to be a change of the tariff policy? What are those changes going to be? Crypto Clay, I think you've absolutely nailed the concept behind it. I'm just not sure what the actual action items will be. Tariffs would be priced in, but I don't think sweeping tariffs are priced in at a high level. So tariffs are priced in, but like what if Trump did massive tariffs on everyone? That I don't think is priced in. I think just the current tariffs that we have right now are priced in. Because I'm not sure if the market has been given really any indication that there's going to be significantly more tariffs. Normally the market prices stuff in when the market knows something's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Any country that is putting tariffs on the United States, we will have reciprocal tariffs. It's pretty simple. Yeah, I would think that would make a lot of sense from my perspective. I'm actually very pro. I actually think the tariffs are a really good idea, and I think it will be good for the United States over the long run. But for whatever reason, the market sees it as a very negative event. And even if the tariffs make a lot of sense in the short term, the market's just going to continue to make it seem like it's a bad thing. So it's going to be kind of an interesting thing that Trump's going to have to balance, because the market has already looked at tariffs as a negative thing. It seems like the market goes down every single time tariffs are talked about. which isn't the end of the world, but it's also one of those things where it's like, all right, well, Trump cares a lot about his appearance and the market, and it's giving people a lot of firepower to start saying, okay, well, clearly the market doesn't like this, even though the market's sometimes irrational in the short term and rational over the longer term. So it's kind of one of those things where it's going to be a tough thing for him to balance. And I hope he does, because, I think the tariffs are generally a good idea. Tariffs will cause inflation. I don't think tariffs, I think the comment about tariffs will cause inflation is a little bit misguided, because I understand why people say tariffs will cause inflation, because if you just listen to mainstream kind of opinions on inflation and tariffs, they just say tariffs will cause inflation, and they make it sound like it's as simple as that. But I want to run a quick experiment with you guys. Here's the inflation data of the United States. And let's find out where Trump did his first round of tariffs. So Trump's first term was from 2016 to 2020. And Trump's tariffs started in essentially January to March of 2018. So tariffs started here. And what you can see is in Trump's first term, after tariffs started going on, inflation actually went down. So it is a little more complex than just tariffs cause inflation. Because obviously what we saw is Trump's first term had almost no impact on inflation. What was the thing that had a huge impact on inflation? Well, that was this right here, which was COVID. So COVID caused all the inflation. Tariffs just kind of caused a normal chop. I haven't, like, people always say tariffs cause inflation, but there's very obvious examples of times in history where tariffs didn't cause inflation. So is it possible tariffs cause inflation? Yes. Is it possible they don't cause inflation? Yes. We just looked at a time period in 2018 where Trump was doing his first round of tariffs, and no inflation was caused. So the economy is a very, very complicated machine, right? There's a lot of different moving parts, and it's a lot more complicated than just input one thing, this is the output. And that's why economists are always wrong, because like you can say, oh, the dollar's falling, but trying to predict the actual impact of the dollar falling or why the dollar is falling, it's really just everyone's opinion, because a million different things could all be playing into it, and trying to figure out what thing is more influential than the next and how all these other factors come together. It's just kind of a fool's errand. And that's one of the biggest things when people talk about inflation. They just talk about it so binary, like, okay, tariffs equal inflation. It's like, yes, when you think about it, tariffs might equal inflation, but if tariffs cause a depression and everyone is poor and no one has any money anymore, well, that's not an inflationary environment. That's a deflationary environment. So, like, you can put tariffs on, right? And no one can afford anything, and then no one is buying anything, and then therefore there is no inflation because everyone's refusing to buy anything because no one has any money anymore. So there's a lot of examples of where it's not as simple as tariffs causing inflation. And just understanding that, like, a lot of the people who tell you it's that simple are probably haven't analyzed any times in history where there's been tariffs and there's been no inflation. If that should be the first question you ask someone. If tariffs always lead to inflation, right? Like, then why are there points in history where tariffs didn't lead to inflation? And then the only other answer anyone can ever come with you is that, okay, well, it's more complex than just that, which is the exact point I'm trying to make. It's a lot more complex than just saying tariffs equal inflation. So, kind of just rambling on about that at this point, but I think it's definitely interesting. All right. Random conspiracy theory time.
We're talking about some pretty substantial changes. Are these conversations?
Sorry. Forgot to mute CNBC. What are they talking about? Oh, such boring topics. They're talking about Ford in Ontario. Who cares? I thought this was kind of weird and crazy. So Simon Tixon, who's a pretty big Bitcoin maxi, said this was the conclusion I came to as well. I can't prove it yet, but this follows the same familiar pattern we've seen time and time again with a classic entrepreneur agent story. And what this person is saying is Michael Saylor is a made-up name. His Wikipedia and his entire bio look like they're made up. Just go down the rabbit hole. Can't even find any info about his parents or much information on his personal life. I've tried ChatGPT, Grok, Deep Search on Google, and nothing. Looks like a CIA psyop in my opinion. How do we find out? How do we not find any information on one of the richest people in the United States? He then goes in to talk about how, hey, I might turn this into a thread if I find more info, but it's pure speculation right now. And now he has another thread talking about Michael Saylor and a potential black swan for Bitcoin. So very interesting. It seems like even the Bitcoin ecosystem is starting to ask some questions on Michael Saylor. This thread is let me go through it real quick. Why MicroStrategy will be a black swan in the future, possibly due to the US government. Everyone thinks Michael Saylor is Bitcoin's Lord and Savior, but they're just as greedy as him. Pump my bags. He's done so much for Bitcoin. And then insulting Bitcoin maxis. MicroStrategy is bad for Bitcoin. It's bad for the whole crypto space. The infinite money glitch that MicroStrategy has become is not going to end well, and I'll explain why. Insolvency is not the only threat. Here's the steps MicroStrategy follows to buy Bitcoin. MicroStrategy buys Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up in value. MicroStrategy stock goes up in value. Saylor dilutes shares by selling equity or takes out a loan. The stock temporarily goes down. Rinse and repeat. If Saylor bought Bitcoin once, it'd be a Bitcoin ETF. However, this has become the largest institutional holder of Bitcoin. Possible black swan theories. BlackRock acquires a ton of MicroStrategy shares until it controls MSTR. Government regulation comes in and seizes MicroStrategy's Bitcoin. Insolvency due to price action. BlackRock disclosed their holdings of over 5% MicroStrategy shares. BlackRock's IBIT is also the largest BTC ETF. It's like two giants going to war with one another. There's no good way to buy Bitcoin / crypto. Wait, there's no way it's good for Bitcoin and crypto or ends well. It's almost like an evil plan to acquire so much it controls and prevents the people Bitcoin was created for. Okay, yeah, I don't really agree with that. This seems to be the plan, whatever. Let's just say MicroStrategy stock collapse. That would force Saylor to liquidate its Bitcoin holdings, which could cause more sell pressure on the market than FTX and Luna combined. I also think that Bitcoin acquisition has hurt the price of Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, more of a, oh, I think, rather than anything too concrete. But I mean, I generally agree that it's this infinite money glitch on Bitcoin. I don't think will personally last much longer. I think kind of the point that I would agree more than anything is just the issue with the MicroStrategy equity. Because if MicroStrategy equity continues to get beat up, it's gonna put Saylor in a really tough place. If MicroStrategy's equity continues to get beat up, it's gonna be very hard for him to keep purchasing Bitcoin. But it actually does look like MicroStrategy has had some kind of a decent rebound recently. I'm actually kind of surprised to see this. It's doing a little better than I anticipated. We actually drew out this line the other day that MicroStrategy. That's not what I want to do. We actually drew out this line the other day that MicroStrategy had to get above. And boy, it's trying. MicroStrategy pretty much worked itself right up to this line. Don't think it's done it yet, but it has to try to break out of here. If it doesn't break out of this descending region, it's gonna be tough news. So it's got to really buck this formation and get parabolic pretty quick. I don't know if it can do it. I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna require a lot of Liberty Day love to make that happen. Little XRP green. You like it? Let me take a look. Yeah, $1.12, not bad. Kind of just holding the same old levels. It's been a nice, boring grind sideways for quite a bit now. Just the way XRP works. I mean, eventually, once everyone's really can't take it anymore, and the trading sideways has everyone complaining and selling XRP. That will be the time where XRP makes its next big move. So it's kind of always how it works. Whenever everyone kind of reaches that max annoyance or max fear time, that's where XRP makes its next big step up. So the more and more impatient and the more you feel like you're waiting forever, that's typically a sign that we're getting closer and closer to something good here. Market going down in 5-4. Does Ripple take payment from their escrow every month? No, because Ripple's not really normally the one minting RLUSD. Most of the time, companies are coming to Ripple and asking to mint RLUSD. So it's not really normally Ripple paying to mint RLUSD. It's normally other companies. Oh, Tesla deliveries just came in? Oh, huge miss on Tesla deliveries. Let me see what the stock is doing. Started down 4%. Yeah, that's Not ideal. Huge miss on Tesla deliveries. So Tesla deliveries, it looks like 40,000 short of expectations. Also made less vehicles than expected, so market will not love that, but it doesn't look like the general market's really reacting. Oh, it looks like because they changed the Model Y and it took them some time to actually change up the production line for the Model Y. So not the end of the world. Looks like the market is digesting the news pretty fine, down 3.9%. Kind of nothing for Tesla. So looks like the market's generally unconcerned about that, which is good. I was worried the market would look at Tesla bad delivery numbers as like, oh, the economy is slowing down. Oh, it's a recession and all those kinds of things. But it looks like the market, for the most part, kind of just saying, yeah, it's not a big deal. All right, guys, with that said, I'm going to cut it off a little early today. I mean, there's really nothing going on in the market right now. Whenever we get times like this, it normally means we're right around the corner from a pretty exciting week. So we'll see what happens later today. I'm sure there'll be a lot to cover tomorrow morning. But right now, the market's just kind of dried up. It doesn't seem like much action is happening. So I'll cut it here.